Biden administration says it will continue building the border wall in South Texas, waiving dozens of federal environmental laws to get this construction going. The move comes as border cities are seeing record numbers of illegal crossings, and sanctuary cities like New York and Chicago are being overrun. But it's a 180 from what the president promised on the campaign trail. Biden's Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas now says there is a, quote, acute and immediate need for physical barriers at the border. The president today explaining the funds that are being used and why it played a part in his decision to move ahead with this construction.
The border wall, the money was appropriated for the border wall. I tried to get them to reappropriate, to redirect that money. They didn't, they wouldn't. And in the meantime, there's nothing under the law other than they have to use the money for what it was appropriated. I can't stop that.
So you just heard from the president saying the border wall money was already set aside and allocated by Congress to continue construction of the wall. Is that really true? Or is it a bit of an about face by the president, who acknowledges now that the border is an issue that needs to be addressed? So we got some perspective from Mark Jones, political science professor with Rice University, who is joining us tonight with more of a breakdown. So what does this signal to Americans and to leaders at border towns who have been pushed to their, quote, breaking point, that have been asking for help for years?
I think the president's trying to have it both ways. So he wants to signal that he's doing something to crack down on undocumented migration by constructing border barriers, but he wants to signal to the progressive wing of the Democratic Party that what he's doing isn't going to have any impact on migrants, so they shouldn't be upset with him. While the president is correct that in some ways his hands were tied by the mandate that these funds be used for various types of barriers along the border, he didn't have to spend it. There isn't a requirement that he actually spend money. And if he truly thinks that it will have no effect, then he's wasting taxpayer dollars. Just because the money's been allocated doesn't mean that he has to spend it. Immigration is one of the best campaign planks that Republicans have, in that it mobilizes the GOP base that cares strongly about immigration. The Republican position on immigration is supported by a majority of November voters, and it divides the Democratic Party between progressives who want to see more progressive legislation related to immigrants, and conservatives and moderates who want to see more restrictions. So in many ways, it's a dream issue for Republicans. It mobilizes the base. It's a winning issue with November voters, and it divides the Democratic Party and forces them to fight among themselves.